Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
In China, for the first time ever, a robot performed dental surgery without human assistance. Everyone was excited until they remembered that the robot was just supposed to vacuum the living room. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God Bless America, followed by a patriot. Calling in with our Pledge of Allegiance. Be proud, stand tall, call in. Good morning. And there we go. We're off and running on a Tuesday. Good morning to you. Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, reminding you, get ready for winter driving. It's coming. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call them today, 734-6969. Right now, let's have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jerry, it's always good to hear from you, my dear friend. Thank you for calling in.
You bet. You have a wonderful day, and may the Lord bless you and your whole audience.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Very, very nice friend. Good guy right there. Thank you. Right now it's time to go to the weather, and the weather brought to you by K&R Rental, 256 South, 300 west of Heyburn. Good morning over there. Roger and the crew there started at 7 o'clock in the morning till 5:30 at night. Wow. Monday through Friday. And then 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturdays. You know, they offer the best of tools and equipment, and if you have questions, what do I need? What do I do? How do I do that? They can help you. They will help you. So contact them today, and they can help you with all the tools and equipment for all the different types of jobs and all the top brands of equipment. K&R Rental, 256 South, 300 west of Heyburn, 678-3122. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast for this Tuesday, November 14th, and it's going to be mostly sunny skies for today. We do have a few rain showers to work through during the morning hours, but other than that, mostly sunny by this afternoon. A little bit on the breezy side as well, high of 48. Tonight, clear skies with a low of 30. Tomorrow, more clouds are going to be rolling in, partly sunny skies with a high of 55. Tomorrow night, more rain showers are going to be in the forecast, about a 50% chance, looking at a low of 38. That's going to carry over for Thursday. 40% chance of showers, going to be breezy, high of 51. 50% chance of rain showers for Thursday night as well with a low of 29. And that could convert over into snow showers for Friday with a high of 41. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, I'm not ready for that kind of a forecast. Thank you, Gene. Appreciate it. Don't forget K&R Rental, and believe me, they can give you all the information about their tools and equipment, and all you have to do is give them a call or stop in. K&R Rental, 256 South, 300 west of Heyburn. Number to call, 678-3122. Oh, good morning. We have got a lot of things to cover here this morning. And I appreciate all your calls. Every day I appreciate my audience even more. I really, really do. And we're going to ask some questions and have you give us some of the answers this morning. So there's a couple of stories I'm just scratching my head on. Hey, don't forget Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. The sale that works for you. Thursday sale day. You better believe it. 678-9411. The number to call for consignments and sale information. Merv May, Cade Rogge, Lance Udy. Oh, they're great guys. The whole staff serving you the sale that does work for you. 10 o'clock sale time. Burley Livestock Sale Yard on Thursday. Don't you miss it. And along with that, we also want to say Daryl's Cleaners. Wow, I've got a bag of clothes to take in there, and I've got a whole bunch of clothes to pick up. I mean, it's kind of a revolving door. They do the best job of anybody. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. And don't forget, too, that if you need clothes cleaned for the holidays coming up, or you need maybe your drapes cleaned or whatever, they do all of that. Excellent job. Kevin and the crew. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Stop in and see them today. Well, a good morning to you and yours. And there's so much going on in the news this morning. And I thought I would start off with this. And I'm not taking any, let's say, side on this story right now, because I think there's so much more to learn. You know, we must be living in some kind of a time in history where everything is going wrong, everything is negative, and we've got to right the ship. I mean, it's got to turn onto a course towards right and stop wrong and good over evil. I do not understand. And I've read as much as I can read about this Judge Roy Moore from Alabama. Now, Judge Roy Moore has been in the news in the past. And, quite frankly, I have sided with him in the past over the Ten Commandments issue in Alabama. Well, now he's running for a Senate seat. And to give you just a real rough thumbnail sketch of what's going on here, all of a sudden, 40-plus years later, keep that in mind, over 4 decades ago, 5 women have come out and literally just thrust themselves into the news media as accusers of sexual misconduct and assault against Judge Roy Moore when he was in his 30s and they reportedly were in their teens. Now, if the man is guilty, I hope they throw him out in the middle of the ocean. But the caveat is 40 years ago, and nobody knew anything about this, supposedly. There were no leaks. There were no, hey, did you hear about so-and-so? No. And they all come at once. And their attorney, for some of them, Gloria Allred, a woman that has been a little dicey at best. But this is a tough one to call. A lot of the Republicans, like Mitch McConnell, coming right out and saying, hey, he's got to walk away. He's got to resign. He's got to absolutely tell the voters he's not running. That's it. And then there are others, like Sean Hannity, quite frankly, has come out in support of Roy Moore. And the innocent until proven guilty that has made this country strong for the many, many years, it's not happening here. Caller, I'm going to be right with you. Don't go away. I want to remind everybody about Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. All your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. And believe me, they've got all your furnace filters. You heard Gina with the weather a few moments ago say that, yes, We might see some snow on the ground this next couple of days, so you don't want to put your cold toesies on the floor and really chill yourself. Make sure that you have your house toasty warm. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday, 678-0459, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Caller, good morning. Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
You know, they wait 40 years to come out. Now, that is kind of suspicious right there.
Uh-huh.
And it just comes out when he's running for a Senate seat.
Uh-huh.
I mean, he's run for other public offices before.
Yeah.
And not a word has been said.
Well, let's stop right there, because you made an excellent point. He has run for other public offices before, your exact words. But back up on the Monopoly board a little bit. Why, when he had that great big story years ago, not that many years ago, regarding the Ten Commandments, remember that?
Yes.
Okay. Why, at that juncture, weren't these women coming forward and saying, no, we want to denounce him and go after him? I don't understand why now.
Well, Mr. Zeb, I think you have a gut feeling and know why.
I do, but, this is an issue, honestly, where, and I think you'll agree with me, that if you take the side of the women and what their accusations are, and you condemn the man and make him run from politics and his job, etc., and say, well, we don't care if you're innocent or not, we're just going to make you guilty. And the premise of our whole civilization here in the United States is innocent until proven guilty. Boy, this is a tough one to call.
Well, let's go back a few years. Let's go back when Bill Clinton was in the White House.
Yep.
These women come out, and it wasn't 40 years later. It was, I don't know how long some of them were, but they were coming out, accusations against Bill, and these women were shunned. They were put down.
Yeah.
They were not credible. But all of a sudden, the left, these women are... all this stuff is written in stone. I mean, it is fact.
Well, let me just throw this at you, and I would really enjoy and encourage a lady in the audience to give me a call. I'd like to hear their side of the story. But with all that's going on and a complete negativity campaign by the Democrats and the left to absolutely turn this administration upside down on its head, and they want to see the election revoked, I mean, the Democrats are not going to change. There's a lot of money behind the scenes, Doug, and it's happened before where there's been a little bit of, hey, here, take this envelope of cash and shut up, or take this envelope of cash and just say that this, that, or the other happened. I'm not saying that happened in this case, but it is a possibility.
It's a very distinct possibility. I mean, it's happened in the past a lot, and it's happened in the past from the people that are doing it right now.
Yeah.
You take this organization that is the Never Trumpers, they will do anything. The Democrats, they have been proven, and time again, to do anything to stop the conservatives from succeeding.
Yeah, but now let's take a look and be fair on the other side. If Judge Roy Moore of Alabama did this when he was a prosecuting attorney, and the allegations are true, then, quite frankly, I think whatever book can be thrown at him and charges pushed onto him, they should be leveled at him. But I still go back to the innocent until proven guilty. And right now, unless you know something about it that I don't know, it's still just nothing more than allegations.
Exactly. And how are they going to prove 40 years ago?
Yeah. I mean,
this is something that if they're coming out now, they're not coming out for justice. They're coming out to demonize this man so he will not get a Senate seat.
Yeah, and there's something else here, too, that, and I'm going to be very forthright about this. The Republicans are like a whipped dog on the back porch with their tail between their legs, when in essence, with the House and the Senate and the Oval Office, they should be standing tall and proud and just pushing their issues forward and through. But I honestly believe they're afraid, before any allegations are proven true, that they'd better denounce this man so they don't lose the woman's vote in this country. Do you think I'm right on that?
Well, you're right on they don't have a backbone.
Yeah.
And you're right, they're playing politics with this.
Yep.
When politics should not be played, when justice needs to be served.
I couldn't agree more. That was well stated. I'm just concerned that there's so many areas to this story right now that people are ready to jump in the water and start swimming, and they haven't checked how deep it is.
I think you're right. But I still go back to Bill Clinton. He skated on all of his and still got his second term, still went and done speeches, has not been brought to justice.
Yeah.
So where's equal justice under the law?
Well, I'm going to watch.
I'm not saying let Roy Moore off because Bill Clinton got off. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying if you're going after him, then let's go back 40 years on Bill Clinton and hang his butt up.
Yeah. You know, this is a story that it's a sleazy, it's a dirty, it's a, you feel grimy when you talk about it and everything, but 40 years. And the one woman said, well, yeah, I told my sister a couple years after it happened, and then what about your husband? Well, I told him before we got married. Do you mean to tell me that there wouldn't have been any animus against Judge Roy Moore to where people wanted to pursue and let the word out that he was a molester and a sexual predator? I just have a hard time in thinking that 4 decades of secrecy.
Exactly. And if you want to hang, Judge Moore on these allegations, let's go through Hollywood.
Yeah.
I mean, let's make this thing equal. Let's make a level playing field.
Yeah.
I'm furious about it.
Well, I think that there is so much going on, and then I'm going to talk about another story here in a few moments, Doug, about Joe Biden. And Biden is seriously, he's really stumping for the presidency. I think this man, who's going to be 78 years old when 2020 comes around for the possible election, what he said last night on that Colbert show, it made me so mad. And I'm going to slam him for this forever. He was slamming what he called phony nationalism. I've got another call waiting, Doug. I've got to get a commercial in. God bless you. Thank you.
But you take Joe Biden, though, just real quickly. There is video of him fondling young girls, touching inappropriately in public. So we want him in there?
I don't think Joe's got a snowball's chance in the oven, and I had to clean that up a little bit. Anyway, God bless you, man. Thanks.
Let's take care of our senior centers.
Absolutely. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't go away. I want to remind everybody about Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland in Burley. Oh, it is America's Diner. And they serve breakfast around the clock. I love breakfast. It's my favorite meal of the day. Well, whether you like breakfast, lunch, or dinner, anytime, all the time, the great people, the fantastic food, the portions are delicious. Oh my goodness, and it's the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. We're going to be over there this Thursday at Denny's Restaurant. Our thanks for all of our gift certificate donors, Walmart, Smith's Food, Hanson Mortuary, Stokes, Doug Martin that was just on the phone. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All of this at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley and 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. America's Diner. Don't you miss it. Denny's Restaurant. Real quick, too, caller, I appreciate your patience. I want to remind everybody about Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. I cannot say enough about how they help me. And if you've got an injury or recuperating from a surgery or a broken bone or whatever, they can help. Boy, they've got a super team of physical therapists that know all the exercises, and they've got that hydrotherapy pool, the only one of its kind around, and they know, and they can help you get back to being you. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, 678-1191. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. And I am upset because what happened to this thing about being innocent till proven guilty? My goodness, this has gotten out of hand. And these senators, these Republican senators that are coming forth with asking him to not run, to resign, whatever, what in the world are they going to do with our country if they cannot make a good decision? They don't have any of the facts, but yet they're shutting this guy out in the cold.
Well, you know, Keith, I'm really surprised that this thing has escalated to what it is and still no proof. I mean, there's no bona fide proof. And if anybody says there is, they're lying, because it's all allegations at this point. And when you talk about 40 years, let me ask you something. Today is November 14th, 2017. Can you remember 40 years ago and what you were doing, where you were, possibly and very possibly in the car business, and do you remember all the good, bad, and the ugly of four decades ago? I can't. And what I'm saying when I say that is that for someone to come out of the woodwork now, or a group of someone's now, which is also a little strange, and make accusations and allegations from 40 plus years ago, that's a little tough to swallow.
Yeah, and then this gal comes on, this latest one, and incidentally, this is my opinion, but I thought she looked like a hooker.
Well,
you know,
I don't want to get into that.
What's that?
I say I don't want to get into that aspect because looks, I don't even want to do that speculation.
But
so
then here's Gloria, whatever her last name is.
Gloria Allred.
Allred. She has done nothing but played the venomous card from day one, and it's took her a long way down the road. So why do these people jump in and call somebody like that, or does the Democratic Party call her in?
You know, like I said, right now there's so many loose ends. It's like having a basketball team out on the basketball court with all their shoes untied. I mean, somebody's going to trip and fall. And right now, I don't know where in the heck the trip and the fall is going to be, because all we know is allegations.
Also, the coach was missing.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, Keith, I got a whole bunch of things going on, man. Call me again. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Caller, I'll be right with you. Stand by. I want to remind everybody about a great big bull and female sale going on at Molson, Angus, and Hereford Ranch up at Parma and Fruitland. As a matter of fact, it's right in between at 3135 Elmore Road. That's where the big Molson sale barn is. And the sale's going to be this coming Sunday. But on Saturday, they're going to have a great big cattle on display all day, and a buyer's social, food and drinks starting at 4 p.m., and then Sunday a tri-tip dinner at noon, and the sale starts at 1 p.m. You don't want to miss this. This is a classy, classy sale with a whole bunch of rugged range-ready bulls and yearling bulls and a lot of good female calves. I'm telling you what, you don't want to miss this sale. Molson, Angus, and Hereford sale this coming weekend up between Parma and Fruitland. For information on how to get there, call 739-0725. Josh will help you out. I guarantee it. And by the way, I know some folks, we're going to be doing what we call the Urgent Care Minute in just a second. Caller, I'm going to ask you to sit back, sip a cup of coffee. I'll be right with you, I promise. Don't go away, please. I want to remind you, too, about Dino's Septic Service. They do the job that you and I don't want to do. Ooh, man, they're out there pumping the septic tanks and sewer and sink drain lines clean. Yeah, the smelly jobs nobody wants to do, but they do, and they do a wonderful job. Fast, fare-friendly service with that big old truck called Smells Cargo on the way. You give them a call, 436-6526, or in Burley, 678-1638. Dino Septic Service, the best. I am very proud to welcome back on the program, and that's our Urgent Cares with 3 locations around the Magic Valley. Urgent Care of Twin Falls at 2392 Addison Avenue East in Twin, Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center, 382 North Overland in Burley, and Urgent Care of Jerome, 133 West Avenue A in Jerome. And they provide so many services, and they're saying, and it's really going to be interesting, we're going to have Alex Judd on the program tomorrow. Why not just pay for the services that you need? Listen to this now. Riverview Urgent Care in Burley and Urgent Care of Twin Falls in Jerome can take care of 96% of all the healthcare needs at a much affordable rate. In most cases, 50% less than insurance rates. You need to check this out today and be sure and call and get more information. Urgent Care of Twin Falls, Jerome, and Riverview and Burley can take care of, like I said, 96% of all your healthcare needs, and believe me, you know they're open 7 days a week with extended hours and qualified providers always on staff. Check it out today, and we're going to have Alex on the program tomorrow for our Urgent Care Minute, and Urgent Care of Twin Falls, Urgent Care of Jerome, and Riverview Urgent Care in Burley. Caller, good morning, and thank you for your patience. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, Bill. Say, remember the guy that went and applied for a gun permit, and after he in Texas, the guy that he had no problem getting everything, there was no checkup on his application to get that gun and so forth. But now we have Roger Moore, and everybody knows his history. What the heck is that? I mean, here we have a guy who didn't ever got a background check, and we have another guy who's doing. We're talking about Moore and the shooter. How different and how biased this government is.
Let me ask you, what's your honest gut reaction to this case when you hear
I believe Moore, and I'm a conservative Christian Republican. I'm not a Hispanic. I'm not a black man. I'm not an African American. I'm a conservative Christian Republican American.
I like that.
And a lot of people might see me out of the street and they're like, oh, there's another Mexican. Oh, there's another black man. No, sir, I'm not. I'm a conservative Republican Christian, and I stand with every one of us together. And we should look beyond our race. We should not look at our intensity. We should look at our beliefs. And unfortunately, we're not doing that.
You know something?
I have a hard time with people believing me when I tell them that. Because they don't look at that. They don't look at my belief. They look at my ethnicity. They look at my color.
You know something?
I need to believe people when they say that.
I agree with you.
They may look different. They may look Hispanic. But believe you me, I'm not a Hispanic. I'm a conservative Republican Christian. Born again. I'm a born-again believer, evangelical. I tell you what, my wife and I met in church, and I convinced her. They say that I brainwashed her, but I wasn't very happy with my church, and I got born again. And we are not so much into religion. As a matter of fact, we have Bible studies in our home.
Good for you.
And that is what I am. I'm a conservative religion. I'm not into religion because religion didn't understand me.
I want to say something to you.
To do this and do that and do that. And I finally got, I've been sober for 40 years. Yeah. 40 years I've been sober. I've been on both sides of the law. And I know the law at the backside of my hand. But I tell you what, I learned something from my downfall. I learned something from my failures. And I don't blame anybody. I blame me. But I tell you what, I'm very proud to be a Republican. At one time, I was not a Republican. I was a Democrat. And boy, what I was that stupid. But I grew. I grew out of that. Thank God.
Let me jump in here and tell you. Sir,
you guys forgot it. You give. I'm very pleased to know that I am today a brand new creation.
God bless you. You know, let me just say this. Every time you call, you inspire me because you're the kind of a person I just love to have as a caller and as a friend on this program. You look past ethnicity, you look past color, and you look at the person on the inside and what their values are or aren't. And I like you, and I thank you for calling this morning, and I want to wish you and yours a great day, and God bless. Thanks for sharing with us this morning.
Thank you.
God bless you. What a nice man. And very forthright, open, and honest, and I appreciate him. Hey, by the way, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to tell you a story about how low-classed the mayor of Lansing, Michigan is. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. I mean, you should know about these people and how absolutely bargain basement their character is. And we're going to talk about him momentarily. I want to remind you that living at home, if you're a senior, there's a lot of risks that are taken every day, and a lot of other people don't realize that. You know, being alone, maybe you fall on a throw rug, or maybe you slip going down the stairs, or maybe just being alone and the looking out the window and just the isolation, or maybe not getting up and say, I'm not going to eat today, I just don't want to take the time or the effort to make a meal, or maybe not taking all your medicine. These are all worries for seniors. And I know a place, Pomerell Place for senior living in Burley, that absolutely offers the ability for seniors to maintain their independence both safely and comfortably. 1301 Bennett Street in Burley. Pomerell Place, a place for senior living, 677-8212. Call them today. Really good people over there. Here is a little story about the mayor of Lansing, Michigan. Recently subjected a political science class at Michigan State University to a complete dirty tirade about President Donald Trump. Now, the guy's name is Mayor Verge Bernero. Oh, yeah. He's a Democrat. And he went into this classroom at Michigan State University with no presentation in mind. Didn't have anything, didn't have a speech, didn't have anything in mind. Instead, he offered a complete freewheeling indictment of the Trump administration, in which he called Donald Trump the divider-in-chief. And within the first 15 minutes of this presentation, which took place last month in October 10th, Bernero took a knee in front of the classroom and told the students that we are punishing kids by taking away their rights when we don't allow them to take a knee during the national anthem. Let that sink in just a little bit. This pathetic excuse for a mayor goes in front of college kids at Michigan State University and said, it's terrible that we are punishing kids by taking away their rights when we don't allow them to take a knee during the national anthem. This guy deserves, and I know a lot of you won't like this when I say this, he deserves a good poke in the nose. And then this so-called Mayor Bernero then blamed the controversy on Trump, calling him despicable and saying he is a pathetic excuse for a president. Now, I got to get this right. President Trump stands for honoring the flag, honoring our military, honoring our police, and honoring our national anthem and our country. But he, Donald Trump, is called despicable and pathetic by the lowly mayor of Lansing, Michigan, because the mayor doesn't believe in that. Well, one student in the class basically challenged him, and all heck broke loose, I guess. And then this Mayor Bernero concluded his discussion by expressing disbelief over Americans. Listen closely to this. Bernero concluded his discussion by expressing disbelief over Americans who stand for the national anthem, and he called it a battle hymn that promotes violence. And this man, there were words on the tip of my tongue, but you didn't hear me say them. No, I cleaned it up. This man, the mayor of Lansing, Michigan, is calling now our national anthem a battle hymn, and no one should stand for it because it promotes violence. You know, yesterday we celebrated and commemorated Veterans Day, and I had on the program 5 or 6 of the greatest people that I really am proud to call my friends. And when we talked about the flag, and we talked about this country, and we talked about the national anthem, myself and all of them, we all had tears in our eyes for the love of this country. And then you take a jackass like the mayor of Lansing, Michigan, and which, by the way, I'm going to send him a little note with that terminology because that's what I think he is, comes out and denigrates our national anthem and says that it does nothing but promote violence, denigrates our president, and says that all the kids should take a knee during the national anthem. That'd be okay with him. And I'll go back and revert to what I said just a minute ago. The man's a jackass. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Barry Equipment and Rental, Sales, Service, and Parts, Jerome, Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, with Juan and the crew, really good people. And they know that they've got all the equipment to get the job done right. They've got all the Bobcats, all the different shapes and sizes, new and used, and you can rent them or you can buy them. I mean, they've got all the Bobcats, and if you've never driven one before and you think, well, I'm just going to go in a circle, I don't know what to do, they'll take you out in the big sandbox behind the store and they'll teach you. Absolutely. They've got, like I said, all the equipment to get the job done right. Stop in and see them today. South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Barry Equipment and Rental. You stop in and see them today. All right, give me a call. What do you think about this mayor? I mean, this is the kind of absolute sleaze that is being promoted by the Democrats. Now, there are some good Democrats. They're hard to find. But when you find one, you better embrace that you did find a good one, that are not a part of this kind of a sleazy leftist campaign against what's good and honorable for this country. I don't think there's very many parents here in this area that would tell their kids, Johnny and Susie, when you go to school today, well, you don't have to stand for the pledge, and you can sit down during the national anthem. Yeah. And you can call the president any name you want to. You can call him a pathetic excuse, or you can call him despicable. Go ahead, whatever you want to do. And then when it comes to the national anthem at the high school basketball game or whatever, nah, it's just a battle hymn that promotes violence. Sit there and eat popcorn or whatever. Don't worry about it. Is that what we're coming to? Really? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, good morning, Mr. Bell. How are you this morning?
I'm ready to fly back to Lansing, Michigan, and just exercise my right of exercising my right arm by poking it in the nose of this mayor.
Oh, I would be right there beside you. You know, I don't understand what's wrong with these liberals. It's been almost a year now, and they still haven't gotten over the fact that they lost. They're like a bunch of little kindergartners.
Or worse.
Yeah, well, yeah. I told Will to keep his finger on the bleep button. So I'm trying to be nice.
Donna, you didn't have to, because Wheels and I have had many, many conversations about that bleep button.
Yes, we did, and you know what? It just kind of slips out. But I'm trying to be good.
There you go.
The liberals, and even some of the Republicans, Zeb, they're fighting him on everything. They can't find anything that he's done wrong, so they're making up all these stupid little nitpicky things. Like I said, like a little kindergartner.
Yeah.
Well, he hit me first. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it.
And and
just sit back and let him do his job. Can you imagine how great we would be again? I mean, he's not my favoriteest person, but at least he's trying. He supports the military 110%, which hasn't happened for quite a while.
Amen.
He loves this country. He wants to, to see it grow and become what it was before, if that's even possible, but at least he's trying.
I agree with you. Everything you said, I say kudos to you for mentioning it, because I'm sick and tired of the worthless, pathetic, vile, the sleaze, the manure-filled pits that the Democrats are trying to slide over in, and I'm sick of it. And I appreciate your call, and I'm not trying to rush you, but I am. I got a weather forecast. Thank you.
Have a good day.
All right, thank you. Caller number 2, I'll be right with you. Stand by. I got a weather. I'll be there in 60 seconds. Don't run away. I'll be right with you. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids with Dr. Christine Pickup, the doctor of audiology. And they've got a new lady over there, Katie Bingham, and she is the new patient care coordinator. Oh, my goodness. They're right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Make an appointment to find out about the loss of your hearing today at 312-0957. Right now, here is Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast for this Tuesday, November 14th, and it's going to be mostly sunny skies for today. We do have a few rain showers to work through during the morning hours, but other than that, mostly sunny by this afternoon. A little bit on the breezy side as well, high of 48. Tonight, clear skies with a low of 30. Tomorrow, more clouds are going to be rolling in, partly sunny skies with a high of 55. Tomorrow night, more rain showers are going to be in the forecast, about a 50% chance, looking at a low of 38. That's going to carry over for Thursday. 40% chance of showers, going to be breezy, high of 51. 50% chance of rain showers for Thursday night as well with a low of 29. And that could convert over into snow showers for Friday with a high of 41. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Wow, it sounds like it's going to get a little gnarly for a little bit. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids with the lovely Dr. Christine Pickup. I'm telling you, she studied 8 years to get her doctorate, and she knows hearing and sound. Please get a hold of her today, 312-0957 for a hearing screening. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Caller, you've been very patient. Thank you. Go ahead.
Well, I just want to say I agree with you mostly, Zeb. But there's one thing, you shouldn't insult them jackasses like that.
Oh, well,
that's all I had to say.
I apologize to all of the so-called mentioned animals that you just mentioned on the air. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I like that, man. He's got a great sense of humor. No, people like this mayor, and I know there's going to be some goody two-shoes out there that has a ribbon wrapped around them like they're God's greatest gift to all of us. They're sitting there going, oh, Zeb's promoting violence. In this case, it would make me feel good to hit that mayor right in the nose and let him know that I think he's absolutely perverted and distorted in his lack of values. I'm not going to backwater on that whatsoever. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hi, Deb. Excuse me. I'm calling about the mayor of Michigan.
Yes, ma'am.
He needs to actually do a little history about the national anthem and why it was written and what the terms mean. Everybody is interpreting it wrong, and we already have a battle hymn. It's called the Battle Hymn of the Republic.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's a beautiful song, and maybe he needs to listen to it, too.
You know, let me ask you,
the Lord.
Let me ask you a question.
That's all I got to say.
No. Stay with me a minute. Don't hang up, please. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I have all 4 verses of our Star-Spangled Banner in my hand that was written by Francis Scott Key when he was on board that ship watching the Battle of Fort McHenry. And I'll tell you what, I've read all 4 verses on the air before, and I'm going to do it in the next couple of days again. But when you read that and really understand the way it was written by Francis Scott Key and the battle and the death and the dying that was going on to help promote our Star-Spangled Flag flying over Fort McHenry, I look at that with a source of pride that I'm proud to be an American, and I'm sure you feel the same way.
I do, and the thing, all these people that are raising this stink about the national anthem, they need to go back and read their history about the war, the Revolutionary War.
That's right.
Why our people came here, and why they fought, and who they were fighting. They weren't. It's just idiocy to me that they are so uneducated. And yet profess to know so much.
Well, I think you'll agree with me.
Our songs are beautiful.
Absolutely.
But if they want to have a battle hymn, go ahead and sing the battle hymn of the Republic once in a while.
Absolutely.
And read their words too.
You know, I think the left in this country, I think you'll agree with this, absolutely has turned into a animosity group that wants to see all of the pillars of strength of America, whether it's our national anthem, whether it's our Pledge of Allegiance, whatever it might be. They want to see all that come crashing down and rewrite, revamp, and redo all of America.
I agree. One other thing I just want to say really quick is about Judge Moore. I think if everybody, if they researched these women, went back, and they saw what kind of lives they have lived as teenagers, as young women, as adults, they might find the answers. Look at where they were 2 or 3 months ago, 6 months ago, and see where they're at now financially. That's all I have to say. You
are a sweet lady. Thank you so much. God bless you for your thoughts. I appreciate it very much.
Okay. Thank you.
You know, and Bye-bye. This story, and I thank that lady very much for being on the program, but this story about Judge Roy Moore, I'm not going to run and condemn, or I'm not going to run and say, attaboy, until we find out all the facts. And it seems like that is a major problem in this country right now. Everybody, hang them, get the rope, vigilante justice, let's go find the nearest tree. Whoa, wait a minute. Let's get all the facts. And then if what is proven, make rectification from that point on. I want to remind you about your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, yeah, they say get ready for wintertime driving. Boy, they're concerned about your safe driving. And they've got the tires that will help you through all the snow, the muck, the yuck, the ice, everything else. I'm telling you, for your cars and your pickups and SUVs, they've got all the different tread designs. Go in and talk to them and ask them, say, well, listen, I've got to drive here, there, and everywhere during the winter. What would you suggest? Or maybe you just get your car started once or twice a week, go to the store. They've got all the suggestions on the best tires for your type of winter driving, and all the tire chains, and of course the best in front end alignment and brake service. Boy, they are good at brake service, and of course shocks and struts and batteries. You don't want to go out on a cold morning, turn the key, and it goes, guess again. You want to make sure it's going to start. They've got the best of batteries over at all 7 locations. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, I've got 2 minutes. Go ahead, please.
I really appreciate the comments that Phyllis gave you on your last call. But, you know, on this Roy Moore deal, I think every one of these gals that have come forward are being paid by the Democratic Party. And here's the deal, Zeb. It seems like you can be the nicest people in the world, but when money comes into play, you or I, we say we wouldn't do it, but we have never been tempted like these people have been tempted. So all they got to do is expose something that's going to haunt them the rest of their life, but they're willing to do it because they're being paid.
Well, wait a minute, though. That's speculation, and I don't deal in speculation, Keith. We don't know that there's been money offered under the table. We don't know that there's been money offered to conjure up a story of guilt. We don't know this, and that's why I'm saying I'm not going to speculate until all the facts are in. If there's condemnation due of Roy Moore and he is found guilty, then fine, I'll condemn the man. But right now, to say that this is happening or that there's been hush money or there's been bribe money, I can't say that. You can't either because that's speculation.
Well, I can't either, but I can speculate the fact that Gloria Allred, who is one of the most expensive attorneys you could find, these people probably didn't even come close to having enough money to get her to participate.
Well, there again, I don't know, and I don't care about Gloria Allred and how she was paid. I couldn't care less. I don't like the woman. I don't like her persona. I don't like her personality. But that's, again, speculation, and we're going to have to wait and see. But I hope and pray that all the facts come out, and then judicially it'll be a right or a wrong and a condemnation for what was done or not done. I got to run to the news, Keith. Always appreciate you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I got to run to the news, which is an oxymoron in my case. I can't run. But we're going to let wheels roll into the news from CBS, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Don't go away. Oh, my goodness, we got to get right into it this morning. Hour number 2, Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, telling you get ready for wintertime driving. And don't forget some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Way Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Way Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Way Services.
Oh, my goodness, yes, they are always at your disposal. And also, they have the Go Mini storage units, and they can bring one out. You can fill it up, and if you can't store it on your property, they'll pick it up and take it over and store it on theirs. Getting ready for the Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's holidays, maybe you need a little extra room to get rid of some stuff. Well, store it in the Go Minis. Check it out. With Western Way Services, always at your disposal. 734-6969. By the way, the holiday season right around the corner, and I know a lot of folks probably say, gee whiz, I don't know if I can get my Christmas tree lights up. Got the aches and the pains. Maybe you're scared of getting up on the ladder. Well, I know a company that can help. Forever Green Lawn and Tree Care. And you call them, and they will give you a free quote about how they can put your Christmas tree lights up and get everything ready to rock and roll for the Christmas season. 423-6454. Give them a call today, and they can come out and help you. Forever Green Lawn and Tree Care with your Christmas lights, 423-6454. I've got to get these out of the way real quick, and I also want to talk about a great, great cattle sale going on this weekend up at Parma and Fruitland on the road right in between 3135 Elmore Road, the Molson Cattle Sale. This is an excellent sale. Quality always comes first. Bull and female sale at the Molson, Angus, and Hereford Ranch. They're going to have rugged, range-ready bulls. They're going to have a lot of yearling bulls. They're going to have foundation Angus females. This is a ripping good sale. Saturday, they're going to have the display of all the cattle. Sunday at 1 p.m., the great big sale. Don't miss it. For more information, call Josh at 739-0725. Molson Cattle Sale this weekend up between Parma and Fruitland. Don't miss it. You know, we're also very blessed on this program to have what I've called the cream of the crop, and that's, of course, the best of advertisers. And we say thank you to Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. The number to call, find out more information that we all need to know, 436-5636. When there's the passing of a loved one, like I've been saying many, many times, life just goes up in the air. You just don't know what to do. The short time frame, they can help. They will help. Always with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity. Please call Joel Hewitt, his family, and his staff. They're there to serve you. At Hanson Mortuary in Rupert, 436-5636. Right now, without further ado, we're going to go to the phone line, and I don't think I've ever had this gentleman on my program. I'm looking forward to the interview. He is the author of a really interesting book called The Armageddon File. Good morning to Stephen Kuntz. How are you, sir?
Just fine, Zeb. How are you?
Well, I'm not too bad. Give us a little background about Stephen Kuntz. Tell us where you live, tell us what you do, and then get into this book called The Armageddon File.
Well, I'm a novelist. I've been doing it for about 31 years now, and The Armageddon File is a novel. It's a fictionalized story about an attempt to fix the 2016 presidential election. The heroes are two old compadres who have been in many of my books, Jake Grafton and his sidekick, Tommy Carmelini. And Jake is the director of the CIA, and he's trying to find out if there's been any foreign influence in the 2016 election.
Now, I've got to ask you...
I'll tell you how it ends up. You got to read the novel.
There you go. I like that. Hey, Stephen, I got to ask you, I detect a little bit of either North Texas or Southern Oklahoma brogue. How close am I?
Well, you're close, but it's hillbilly, West Virginia hillbilly.
Oh, my goodness sakes.
I left West Virginia. I was born and raised there. I left many, many years ago, but I've never managed to eradicate the regional accent.
Well, now tell me this. Well, tell me this, Stephen. When you wrote this book, I mean, when you did the all the paperwork kind of leading up to the plot and the characters and everything, you had a lot to pull from this last election. So I guess what I'm asking is fiction really more serious than life in this book called The Armageddon File?
Well, that's a good question. You know, in real life, we need to put up with insanity and random chance. They seem to rule our universe. In fiction, we must have cause and effect. In real life, all you have to do is open the newspaper and you find out somebody is crazy, or people are doing things that act absolutely against their own best interest. And it's just insane what happens every day. But you can't do that in fiction. We demand cause and effect.
Well, what do you think after you've had a chance to write this book called The Armageddon File? What do you think about our...
Like everybody else, I watched the 2016 election, and I was sort of surprised at the way it came out. And then I was even more surprised when the Democrats began to shout that the Russians had somehow diddled with our election. And I thought, there's a novel there. And so I got busy and wrote this one and sent it off to my publisher, and here it is. It's almost exactly to the day, 1 year after the election, and the book is available in the bookstores and, of course, online in all formats. And it is fiction, but it's sort of fiction ripped from the front page.
All right, now I'm going to ask you this, Stephen. When you did the study and the paperwork and the history of our election process in this country, did it show you that we still have the best process of electing our officials, or is the system antiquated? What's your thought?
Well, I think it's an antique. I think obviously we have a system that's left over from the 19th century, and here we are in the 21st. We have the population has tripled or quadrupled. So we've tried to do things like absentee ballots and computerize either the voting machines or the tabulating machines, and we've done that with an eye to keeping the cost down spend to hold the election. But, all these systems can be gamed, and they all are. And then we don't even have photo ID requirements to either register or to vote. And that's amazing. We're the only industrialized country on earth that doesn't have that,
right,
with the possible exception of Australia. Even Mexico requires their citizens to have a photo ID to...
We're having him blank out a little bit. Are you still there, Stephen?
I sure am, Seb.
We must have had some kind of a little blip or something on the phone lines, and it cut out for us just for about maybe 3 or 4 seconds there. Let me ask you this while I still have you on the air. Sometimes our phone systems don't work exactly the way they should. The electoral college, pardon me, I stuttered 3 times. The electoral college, I think, is a necessity. What are your thoughts after studying this for the book?
Well, the Electoral College was a political compromise that the Founding Fathers agreed upon to solve a huge problem that would have prevented the Constitution from being ratified. The little states didn't want the big states to decide the election by popular vote. And on the other hand, the big states didn't want to give up all of their electoral advantage that they had with a large population. So they came to the idea that each state would have a certain number of electors, and the number would be decided by the representatives, which are chosen by population, and by the senators.
Right.
And so, in effect, they gave the little states a wee bit of an edge. And that's the system we've lived with since 1789, I believe, and it's worked pretty well. The Founding Fathers understood that a candidate might win the election in the Electoral College and still lose the popular vote. It's happened before. Arguably, it happened in 2016. It may well happen again.
All right, now, Stephen, I'll tell you what, right now, my attitude is that if they take the electoral college out, it would absolutely be the worst thing that could ever happen in this country. The city of Chicago has almost...
I agree with you, Zeb. Basically...
Go ahead.
...to campaign in Los Angeles and San Francisco, New York, Boston, and Chicago. And the rest of the country could go hang. And, believe me, you folks out in Idaho would never, ever see a presidential candidate if it was strictly the popular vote.
I agree with you. I'm going to ask you to stand perfectly still if you're moving at all because we're having trouble with the connection. And I just want to mention that the city of Chicago with almost 3 million people, Los Angeles with almost 4 million people, Dallas with almost 2 million people, New York City with almost 9 million people, those 4 cities could control any and all elections if the Electoral College was taken away.
Well, those are just the numbers of people that actually reside within the city limits. If you look at the metro area for Los Angeles County contains 14 million people, and it's more than that in New York City. So these are huge numbers, and true, they ought to have their voices heard in a presidential election, but not at the expense of the rest of us people out here in Middle America. We want the national parties to talk to us, too.
Absolutely.
We want to hear about water rights and water problems out here in the West. We want to hear about, industry and taxes and illegal immigration and all the issues that we find so important.
The book called The Armageddon File, when people buy the book, they take it home, they read it, but what do you want them to take away and remember from the book when they're finished with the last chapter?
Well, it's a novel. I want them to be entertained. But more than that, I want them to just understand how easy our system is to defraud. And election fraud cheats the American citizens out of their right to choose the people that run the country.
Would you say that my fears are misaligned if I said this to you this morning, Stephen, that if the Democrats get back in power, and if someone like Hillary or Schumer or Pelosi has their way, they would destroy the Electoral College. They would destroy the way our vote is in this country, and I think that the left would be in total control. Am I wrong?
Well, I think they would certainly give it a good college try. And the Democrats want to rig the system some way to make sure that they win all the time. And that's, you know, that isn't the way we play politics in America. I think it's actually good to have two parties. It's good to occasionally sweep out the bad guys and vote in a new set of scoundrels. And, you know, in time, it'll all shift. But that's the American system. We don't want one-party rule forever.
You know, when you looked at the research for this book, Stephen, and look at the low voter turnouts that we're seeing of maybe 21 or 25%, et cetera, what are your thoughts? I mean, you're an expert after writing this book about how do we get people to the polls to vote for candidates, and this pathetic 1/4 of our population only voting and 3/4 staying home. How do we change that?
Well, I'm not so sure that it should be changed. You know, what that tells me is at least 3/4 of the population thinks that their life won't change no matter who gets in. If we get everybody politicized and everybody charges to the polls, I think we'd have an even more divisive country than we already have. And believe me, I think it's bad. I think we haven't been this divided since the American Civil War.
When you say that, and this book is out today, The Armageddon File, and again, I want you to tell everybody in my audience where the book can be obtained, and a little bit more about you. Are you going to write a follow-up to this, or what's your next project?
Well, Zeb, the book can be obtained anywhere good books are sold, and of course online, you know, the online bookstores in all formats, be it paper, audio, you know, ebook, whatever. Actually, I'm a professional novelist. I've been doing this for 31 years. This is my 39th published book. I've had 16 national bestsellers, New York Times bestsellers, and got high hopes for this one. I've got another book planning in the works. I'm currently working on a nonfiction book about the Than Hoa Bridge in North Vietnam. I'm working with an aviation historian named Barrett Tillman, who's from Oregon, and together we're writing this history book about the American attempts to destroy this target in North Vietnam. Then, you know,
We had another bubble. Is he still there? Are you still there, sir? Wheels, did we lose him?
I believe we did.
Oh, my goodness. Wheels, I want you to call him back and tell him thank you for being on the program, but the phone line died, whether it was his cell phone or whatever. Please apologize for us and tell him I'll have him back in the near future and we'll give him a re-up on this. How about that? Would you do that for me?
Okay, Zeb. Well, I heard that.
Oh.
Thank you very much for having me on your show.
Well, before you go,
I appreciate it.
We lost you.
It's one of my favorite states. I live down here in Colorado, and I like Idaho. It's got mountains and beautiful streams and trees and everything else.
Well, I want to tell you, Stephen, we had a little bit of a phone line problem, but I apologize, but I want to wish you the best with your book, and please know that I am going to go get your book, read it, and then I want to have you back on the program, and we'll go over it again chapter by chapter. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zeb. Have a great day.
All right, sir. Thank you. I apologize. We had, I don't know whether it was on our end or his end, but all of a sudden there were some dead spots. And I think Wheels would agree with me that sometimes on cell phones there's just all of a sudden bloop and it's gone. So I apologize for that. Calls are welcome. I've got a time right now. I've got about 7 minutes. I'll take some more phone calls. Give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. 452-444-1587. Want to remind you about Ark Animal Hospital. You know, they really do have the warm hearts for the cold noses. They take care of everybody's little kitty cats. They take care of everybody's cattle, their horses, their dogs. I mean, it's a mixed animal practice, and they can and will take care of your animals. Don't forget, Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Hayburn, 678-1177. And like I said, mixed animal practice, big or small, they love them all. Dr. Bill and the crew at Ark Animal Hospital, 678-1177. You get a hold of those good folks today. For heaven's sakes, I could not say the word electoral. It just kept coming out electrical. I apologize for that. That's the first time that's ever happened to me like that. I apologize. Anyway, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. One thing, too, I want to remind you of is Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. They are the only locally owned and operated assisted living facility in the Mini-Cassia area, and they are really able to provide more one-on-one care. And they urge you to stop by and visit. They want you to know that they have someone there for you 24 hours a day to help. They want you to know that your loved ones are really going to be taken care of. Please contact them today, 436-3200, Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, 924 Christian Way in Rupert. Really, really nice people. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We are expecting, and I will say this and hope it comes to fruition, a call from United States Senator Mike Crapo in just a few moments. And Wheels is going to let us know when he is on the line. So I have time for another phone call, and then we'll be ready, hopefully, for Mike Crapo. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more. My goodness, it is time for you to stand there and look around the living room, look around the kitchen, look around the den, and say, "Ooh, we've got to get ready for the holidays." That's right. And they've got all your chairs, and they've got all your sofas, and they've got all your tables, and they've got all the floor coverings, the carpet, the vinyl, the luxury vinyl planks, everything at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more. And our dear friend Jeff Bronson is back at Lee's Furniture along with the rest of the staff serving you, so get in there today. Start to get things all spiffed up for the holidays from Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more. 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Okay? All right, give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. As I said, we've got, hopefully, United States Senator Mike Crapo coming on our program here in just a few minutes, and hopefully we'll get the call. We had him scheduled a week ago, and then he was in a Senate hearing and couldn't get out to get on the phone with us, and their staff back there called us and said, how about Tuesday of this week? So we've got him scheduled in just a few minutes. Don't forget, too, Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Number to call, 436-4424. All of your life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, and, of course, they're very dedicated and responsive to your needs, what you need for you, your family, and your business. So please get a hold of them today. Make an appointment, Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. And that number again is 436-4424. Now, coming up on Thursday, Lunch Bunch at Denny's Restaurant in Burley. Don't forget that at 11:30. We urge you to be there. I really urge you to be there. It's kind of our Thanksgiving and our end of the year kind of a Lunch Bunch gathering. And we would like to thank everybody for all the gift certificates. We want to say thank you to Walmart and Smith's Food, Hanson Mortuary, Stokes, Doug Martin. I mean, these folks have been so good to us. And thank you very much. And that's at 11:30 at America's Diner. Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, and we will see you there. I just had a note sent to me from our friends at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. My goodness sakes, they're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. And, yeah, whether you like it or not, winter is right around the corner. Well, hey, you can have fun with all the new 2018 snowmobiles. Holy cow, they've got all the new ones coming in every day. And they've got those Wolverine four-seaters. Yeah, and still all the four-wheelers and the side-by-sides. And a great service department. My goodness sakes, they can help you, along with all the accessories. There's everything there. I don't know how they crammed it all in on that showroom floor. And it's all there for you to enjoy and have fun outside in Idaho. Wow, it's a great state to have a lot of outside fun, and they can help where the fun is sold. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Call them, 436-4771. Wheels, old buddy, have we heard from the senator yet?
No, sir. My phone hasn't lit up with the green button yet. But I'm hoping it will.
Okay, well, thank you, my friend.
Last week, but yeah.
I appreciate it. Hey, by the way, tomorrow I want to mention that our monthly escapade into wildlife takes place when we have the Fish and Game Report from 10:06 to 11 tomorrow morning on the program with Kelton Hatch with the Fish and Game. And we've got a lot of other great guests coming on the program, too, including Dave Beagle from Indianapolis, Indiana, and others. So don't miss tomorrow's program. Little public service announcement here. Keep Minnecasia Warm, sponsored by the Minnecasia Association of Realtors, taking blankets and outerwear donations. All the donations are due on or before December 12th, and donations will be accepted at any real estate or affiliate offices in the Minnecasia area or over at Pomerell Place, another drop-off place on Bennett Street. Pomerell Place is taking them. All ages and sizes are welcome and greatly appreciated, and monetary donations will also be appreciated and used to purchase new coats for those in need. And this is sponsored by the Minnecasia Realtors, and the number is 208-878-9170.
Sir?
Yes, sir.
I have Mike Crapo on the phone for you.
Thank you very much, Wheels. I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're very honored to have United States Senator Mike Crapo on the phone with us this morning. Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I am well. Good morning, Zeb.
You know, it's nice to have you on the program on a rather chilly November morning leading up to Thanksgiving and then later on Christmas. And I will say that a lot of people are planning for some time off, but I would also say that I don't think the Republicans should take any time off because they got a whole bunch of work to do. Would you agree with that?
I actually do agree with that. The level of obstruction that we have faced from the Democrats in the Senate is, I can't even give it an adequate description. It's unheard of. They have slowed down this presidency from getting its nominations by a factor of 10, and it's just unbelievable. And I think that we ought to make them stay here and plow through nominations. We also have some major legislation to get through.
You know, Mike, let me ask you this, and like I've said many times on the program before, you've been a friend of this program and a friend of mine personally for many, many years, and you've always been a straight shooter. So I'm going to be a straight shooter right back with you. There are a lot of people. There are a lot of people, and you've heard this before, your constituents, a lot of people here in the state of Idaho, and in general across the country that are really unhappy with the Republicans' lack of getting things done in the House, the Senate, and through the Oval Office. You have complete control. And there's a lot of condemnation out there about the health care bill, about the tax reform, and other issues. What do you say to those critics that say, hey, we put you in there, but you're not getting anything done?
Well, you know, Jeb, in one sense, I agree with them. I'm one of those who is very frustrated with the lack of progress. That being said, I do think that we have done some incredible things, and given the unparalleled obstruction in the Senate, I think some pretty significant things are going to continue to happen. Let me tell you what I mean. We just put one of the best Supreme Court justices we possibly could have on the court. We have passed a major number of pieces of legislation that have moved the ball in the right direction. They weren't home runs, but they were significant pieces of legislation. We didn't get the ball over the goal line yet on health care, but that fight's not over, and I was one of those very frustrated with that. We did get 49 out of 52 votes for that. 49 didn't get it, and so we're going to keep pushing. And I think we will get our tax bill. That fight's not over, but it's one of the biggest fights that we've got going for us. On top of that, and I've got to give this credit to President Trump more than the Congress, the President has been consistently putting absolutely solid people into places in the administration where we are now starting to roll back the regulatory burdens across this country. And industry, businesses of all kinds across this country, and workers are starting already to see the difference. And as we plow our way through this backlog of nominations, we're going to see more of it. So there is a significant change in direction occurring. It's a slower pace than any of us want, and I share that frustration, and I think that some of that criticism needs to be directed at some of the Republicans. But I'll tell you, the majority of the Republicans, the vast majority of the Republicans here in Congress, are working hard and putting their hearts into making these changes and doing the best they can. So I kind of have a mixed reaction to it. There should be frustration, but we should point that frustration at the right people, not in a broad shotgun array.
And Senator, we have seen now the Trump administration be in power for about over a year. And I got to tell you that I am absolutely frustrated that the sniping, the backbiting, and the living in the past that the Democrats portray, oh, we got to get him, we can't have him as president, we got to do all we can to derail this. They are not doing one doggone thing for the betterment of America or even their own party platform. All they're doing is turning around and sniping about the past. This is just absolutely frustrating to the American public.
Well, I agree with you there, and let me give us just a couple of perspectives on that. I already mentioned several times the obstruction. They are absolutely obstructing the ability of this president to get his nominees put into place, whether it's on the courts or whether it's in the executive agencies. And I told you the numbers are startling. I mean, President Obama had far more at this time in his first presidency than President Trump, and that slows him down. On top of that, when we talk about us failing to get health care passed, and yeah, there were 3 Republicans who voted no and stopped this, but there were 48 Democrats who voted no. And as we go through this battle, I just hope that Americans realize who is saying no and help us on both sides of the aisle to get votes. It's just frustrating. Those are just a couple of examples. In fact, I'll give you one more. We had a judge in Idaho who we just got through earlier this year. He was nominated originally by President Obama. He came out of the Judiciary Committee unanimously. President Trump renominated him. We fought for months to get him through. It took 3 days of floor time. And when the vote was finally held, he was confirmed by a vote of 100 to 0. That shouldn't have taken 3 days of Senate floor time.
Absolutely. Mike, I have a caller with a question, and I want to ask the caller, do not elaborate, make it short and concise so we can get on with this. Please go ahead. You're on the air. Quickly. Go ahead.
Okay. Senator Crapo, my name is Keith Cottom, and not too long ago I had to go to your office to be able to obtain my veterans benefits. And I met with you in the park in Jerome, and your office has been excellent in getting me my benefits, and I want you to know that you're thinking of each and every one of us. Thank you again, Senator Crapo.
Well, thank you for calling, and Mike, respond please to the caller.
Well, thank you. One of the things, I have to relay that thanks to my staff. I am blessed with fabulous men and women who literally give their lives to help make this office work and provide the service and support to constituents that we do. And I just got to say, it makes me feel so much better. It's a real boost when someone says, you know, I reached out for help and got it. And I would remind all of those listening that when you have to interact with the federal government and you're having trouble, our offices, not only mine, but Senator Risch's and Congressman Simpson's and Congressman Labrador's up in North Idaho, are available to help get the federal agencies to be more responsive, and we'll do everything we can to make that happen.
Senator, is it safe to say, when I say this next little phrase, that the health care issue kind of put a little egg on the Republican Party for not getting it through, and if you don't get tax reform done before Christmas, it's going to be more egg on the face? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that's fair to say. It was a big loss for us to fail to get the Obamacare fixed through. I do say, again, we're not done with that fight, but it was a big loss and a very discouraging one. And if we are not able to deliver on tax reform, it will be another big one. And we can't pile up too many of those. We've got some big wins. I mentioned the Supreme Court win. And we've put 8 circuit judges on the court in the last 5 or 6 months, which is a huge move that just kind of has happened unnoticed by the country. And some really powerful people in regulatory agency positions. And so there's good things happening, but those are 2 really big top line issues, and the Republicans must not fail on tax reform.
Senator, you have watched Donald Trump's administration now very closely as a United States Senator for the last year, and I'm going to put you on the spot. How would you grade President Donald Trump for the first year in office?
Well, let me answer that this way. This is an easy one for me to answer. I spent the last 8 years fighting my heart out against really bad proposals, bad bills, and bad things that were trying to be done in our government. I've spent the last 10 months, going on 11 now, fighting for really good things. And as I've said, a lot of really good things have happened, and a lot more really good things are going to happen. And we've had our losses, but we're not done fighting. And so I'm pleased that Donald Trump is president. He is promoting the right agenda. He is standing up against the terrorists around the world. He is making sure that other countries around the world know that America is in the game and that we are going to protect ourselves. And he's helping us and supporting us in pushing forward a very powerful reform agenda that will reform our taxes, reform our health care, reform our regulatory system, our energy policy. And the net result of all that is to increase jobs, increase wages, and make America even stronger and more economically competitive.
We have another caller with a quick question. Go ahead, caller. Quickly, you're on the air.
Yes, I think Judge Roy Moore is getting smeared, and I think that McConnell is no friend of mine, and I don't know how you feel about it, but I think he is as obstructive as anybody. And to be frank with you, if he didn't get reelected, and he barely got reelected last time, we'd all be better off. I'll hang up.
Mike, what do you think about this Judge Roy Moore situation? I will say this before you answer. The allegations are one thing, but the proof has not yet come out. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that you've hit the nail on the head. If he is proven to have committed the acts that are alleged against him, then I don't believe he will be able to be elected, and I think he should step aside and let the Republicans put someone in place who can win that election. But everyone has the right to defend themselves.
Absolutely. Now, I'm going to ask you this question. I'm going to say this in a statement, and then you can answer it for me. I think, personally, that the United States right now is more fragmented and more divided than it has been since the 1960s in the era of Selma, Alabama. I think there's more racial tension. I think there's more racial problems. I think there's more division being caused by the left. What are your thoughts about where America is today?
Well, I was alive then, but I was young enough not to really understand the divisions of those days you compare to. So I'm not sure I can make a clear comparison, but I'll tell you, the notion of the division that you just described and the tensions that you described is absolutely valid. I've never seen it, at a time like this, after I got old enough to be focused on it, to be able to see the kinds of tension and disagreement, whether it's racial tension or whether it is class tension or all kinds of other stresses. There are all kinds of disagreements and differences in America that are playing themselves out in more disturbing ways than they used to. People are not happy with the decision-making processes that are, and the answers and the solutions that our government is putting out. And you and I talked a minute ago about the frustrations that many are having with this Congress, and they were having the same frustrations with the last Congress. And I believe we can solve that best by putting on the board some wins for the kinds of policies that broad majorities in Americans support, so that they can start having confidence in Congress and having confidence in their president.
I'm going to ask you to forget for a moment that you're a senator of the United States, and I'm going to forget that I'm a talk show host, and we're sitting at a table having a cup of coffee or whatever, and our concern is for our family and the future with North Korea. How concerned should we be, or is it really a lot to do about nothing? What are your thoughts?
Oh, I think this is an extremely big concern. I used to say that I thought the biggest threat to U.S. national security was Iran. And I still think that it may be the biggest threat. But in terms of near-term threat, I think that North Korea may be becoming the biggest near-term threat that we face. There are some similarities between Iran and Iraq. President Obama entered the nuclear deal with Iran. President Clinton entered the nuclear deal with North Korea, and I've seen and remember clips of President Clinton saying, now North Korea won't get a nuclear weapon. Well, they've got nuclear weapons, and now we're debating over whether they've got the capacity to deliver them. And I'm very concerned about the direction that we are going here. And I'm actually glad that we have a president who is standing up and not backing away from the threat. I believe that President Trump and his team are very much aware of the dynamics and are doing everything they can to build support from those nations that can have the biggest influence here, and that is China and Russia. And even China and Russia are starting to realize the danger that North Korea presents.
That being said, Senator, I must ask you as a final thought here this morning, the Uranium One deal with Hillary Clinton, the Clinton Foundation, etc. This spooks me because I think there was a lot of under-the-table graft and corruption and selling our assets of uranium to foreign countries. What are your thoughts as a United States Senator?
I'm very worried about it, too. We don't have the details yet. We are investigating it, finally. And I hope that we get further information. But the fact is, it's awfully worrisome to see the Russians basically obtain such a significant percentage of our uranium by transactions that could have been, and I think should have been, stopped by our government. Our government has the right to stop transactions that jeopardize our national security. And I believe that should have happened there.
I always encourage you to call in as often as you can, Senator Mike Crapo, and I want to be one of the first to extend to you a very happy Thanksgiving and a Merry Christmas season. And thank you for taking the time to come on our program. We'll look forward to the next time.
Thank you very much, Zeb, and a happy Thanksgiving and a Merry Christmas to you and to all of your listeners.
God bless you, my friend. Thank you very much. United States Senator Mike Crapo on our program this morning, and I always appreciate it when they take the time to come and call us on the phone and bring us up to speed on a lot of the events and happenings around the world and also right here in the United States. And I want to thank you out there for calling in. I'm glad we had a little extra time for some phone calls this morning. Normally it goes really fast, and I thank you, the folks that called in. Our weather, we've got to get to that. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert. And let me tell you, they've been providing the best of accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area for well over 50 years. When I say the best, in tax return preparation, tax planning, financial statement preparation, bookkeeping services, retirement planning, yes, all of this and so much more with the professionals, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast for this Tuesday, November 14th, and it's going to be mostly sunny skies for today. We do have a few rain showers to work through during the morning hours, but other than that, mostly sunny by this afternoon. A little bit on the breezy side as well, high of 48. Tonight, clear skies with a low of 30. Tomorrow, more clouds are going to be rolling in, partly sunny skies with a high of 55. Tomorrow night, more rain showers are going to be in the forecast, about a 50% chance, looking at a low of 38. That's going to carry over for Thursday. 40% chance of showers, going to be breezy, high of 51. 50% chance of rain showers for Thursday night as well with a low of 29. And that could convert over into snow showers for Friday with a high of 41. That's your weather for Zeb at the Range.
Oh, she does a great job compiling our weather. Right now, looking outside, I see blue sky out the one window and not so blue out the other one. Anyway, thank you, Gina. And the weather brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. As I said, they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area for well over 50 years. And don't forget, it's time to get out your 1099s and W-2s and also the tax planning for the end of the year. So get a hold of them today, the very best, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company in Burley and Rupert. Okay, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Joe Biden is kind of like, I don't know, a bad cold that you just can't get rid of. This guy, he was vice president, he's been a senator, he's served for over, 44, 45 years right now. Joel, it's time to go to pasture. It's time to enjoy the sunsets. And now it looks like he is absolutely throwing his proverbial hat in the ring for the 2020 election to possibly be a nominee on the Democratic Party for the presidency. And what he said on the Colbert Show the other night, I thought was really low-classed. We've talked about this. He was slamming Americans, like myself, that believe in nationalism. I am proud of this country. I am proud of its achievements. I am proud of being number one in the world. And Biden called it a sense of phony nationalism. Ooh. Phony nationalism? When we stand for the national anthem? When we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? When we let our tears roll down our cheeks when we watch our military veterans walk by? That's phony nationalism? Is it phony nationalism to be proud of this country and for all of its achievements and all the help and assistance it gives to others around all the corners of the world? Is that phony nationalism? I don't want to be a globalist. I've said that on past programs. I don't give a rip about being a globalist. I want to be proud in my country proud in our achievements, and then help others when help is needed. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Well, that was an interesting call.
Yeah, I apologize, sir. They must have hung up already.
Well, we just had the call. The cow sang her little tune, and then she didn't get a chance to introduce the caller. So I guess that's it. Call back. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Good morning, caller. Stay with us. Don't run away.
I was going to call in, but I waited too long. They're not going to solve any of these problems. The root of the whole thing of this country are those college professors. They got these people so screwed up when they come out of college, they don't know if they're men or women.
I agree.
And now they got a thing going that what really determines your gender or sex is what don't believe the doctor if he tells you that you're one way or another.
Caller, if you're...
It isn't just Democrats.
Okay, caller, wait a minute. Whoa. Caller, listen to me, quiz. If you're on a speakerphone, turn off the speakerphone because you're echoing so bad I can't hear you.
Okay, I'll try.
Yeah, don't use a speakerphone when you call. That I can't accept that. Are you off that?
Does that help?
Oh, lots. Don't ever use a speakerphone when you call in.
Yeah, I'm a little hard of hearing, so I put it on.
Okay.
But anyhow, what my point is, in fact, we have a friend that their grandson went into college. He come out wearing a dress because some professor convinced him that he really may not know what he is.
Well, let me jump in here and say something to you.
It isn't just with that. It's with the whole viewpoint of these college professors.
I agree.
And they need to do something about it, or it's going to take this country down.
I agree with you. Let me just jump in and say I'll add to the idiocy that you're talking about. I heard a story last night that subway conductors have been asked not to say, sit down, ladies and gentlemen, or the next stop, ladies and gentlemen, because now some of the many, what they call genders, are, they're offended because they're not part of the ladies and gentlemen audience. That is how stupid this transgenderism has got.
Right, and then what's the more is that Democrats, they'll go along with this.
Yeah.
They'll make a big thing out of it. It shouldn't even be in the news. It shouldn't even be talked about. It's so ridiculous that things like that years ago, you just ha-ha and then forget it.
I agree. I've got one other call before the news, and I appreciate your viewpoint. Thank you.
One point, real quick.
Okay.
Now they're going to let the mentally ill come into the service. They just announced that.
Yeah.
Pretty quick, we're going to have all Democrats in there.
I couldn't agree more, and there's something to be really wary of. Thank you for your call, as always. God bless you, my friend. Thank you. Caller, real quick, I got 1 minute left. Go ahead.
Well, if you look at the school systems, the colleges, the professors, but it's also the online media and the devices we have. Everybody has them. And we can access anything we want. And let's face it, Zeb, some of this stuff is poison. It's death. But, the other day I was watching an old football game, and it was the Minnesota Vikings and somebody else, Dallas Cowboys. And they were talking about how when Bud Grant came to town, he said, you're going to stand here and line up. You're going to have your helmet by your side, and you're going to stand at attention during the national anthem. And Vince Lombardi was the same way. And nowadays, it's like they can't do this because it goes against the grain of what we think American public wants. It's what it is. I'll hang out.
I agree. Randy, thank you. That's an excellent point to end the hour on. Thank you so much. And we're going to run to the news, and then coming up, Dr. History. God bless everybody for their phone calls. I appreciate it. And again, thanks to Senator Mike Crapo. We'll see you back here in 7. And a good morning to you. Doc, what's it doing outside? Kind of pleasant or cold or what? Kind of nice outside? Okay, well, we'll get you
Not
on
bad.
the air. Not bad, he said. Hey, by the way, this is Zeb at the Ranch, and, of course, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. Get ready for winter driving. It's around the corner. And also some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969. Want to remind you, too, Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. Number to write down and remember and call if you have a family member that needs that little bit more one-on-one care. Well, I'll tell you what, they have personalized help for each person that lives at Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, 924 Christian Way in Rupert. And the number to call, 436-3200. They urge you to stop by anytime for tours. Check them out. They want to serve you. Give them a call today, 436-3200, Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Right now it is Tuesday, and look what the wind blew in. Dr. History, my goodness, how are you?
Just great. It's a beautiful day out there, really. For fall, not bad.
Honestly, I'm glad to hear you say that because we were talking about it yesterday, Deanne and I. We've been out using the horses every day and just really enjoying it. It's not that bad.
No, not for this time of year.
No.
Nice.
What are we going to talk about
Okay,
this
is episode number 2. Chief Joseph and the Nez Perce Indians.
Yes, I enjoyed that last week.
So, just to catch people up a little bit, kind of a summary. Last week we talked about the location of the Nez Perce. Excuse me.
Yeah, we both had the same thing.
So, if you can picture in your mind this, the groups or tribes of the Nez Perce, which were separated into several groups. Okay, not just one big tribe.
Right.
Sort of. So.
Well, there was a couple of brothers involved.
Right. Yeah. So if you can picture southeast Washington, that corner, northeast Oregon,
right,
and central Idaho, kind of in the western side of central Idaho. That's where
Grangeville area.
Grangeville.
Ranging over to like Joseph, Oregon, and then up. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So kind of that area there, but so. To catch you up a little bit, they agreed to go on the reservation. They agreed with a treaty, so to speak. Some of them did, but originally they had 10,000 square miles of reservation, which was really actually very good.
And probably the best reservation land in the country.
Yes, very good. Their hunting grounds, their homeland. But as usual, what happens is the white men came along. They saw that great land and country, and so then they reduced the reservation from 10,000 square miles to 1,000 square miles.
Were the tribes aware of this when that was a reduced figure?
They did, but keep in mind, there was 2 groups. There was the treaty groups that signed, and then the non-treaty groups that did not sign.
Okay.
But, so the legal rights of the non-treaty bands were not much concern to the officials. In fact, the governor of Oregon wanted the lower Nez Perce to leave, and the Indian agent for the upper tribes wanted them to come closer because that's where the...
Now, wait a minute. When you say leave, where did he want them to go?
He wanted them to go up north to the northern part of the reservation.
I see.
He didn't want them in Oregon. So, in 1877, the Commissioner of Indian Affairs asked the General of the Army, and you've heard of this guy, William Tecumseh Sherman,
oh boy, yeah,
to order U.S. troops to put the non-treaty bands on the reservation. Move them out. Get them out of Oregon and up into that treaty area, or reservation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that made General Howard called all of the lower Nez Perce chiefs to Lapway, instructed them to select land for their bands, and gave them exactly 30 days to move their people.
30 days?
Now, not just their people, their possessions, their herds, to their new homes. And here's what he said. It said, if you are not here in that time, he warned Chief Joseph, he said, I shall consider that you want to fight and will send my soldiers to drive you on. 30 days. Get out of here and get up on the reservation.
Where was the advocacy for the Indian tribes?
Not much of any, if any. Although, as things went along, the general public of America kind of felt sorry for the underdog, the Indians. So as it goes along, the feelings kind of change a little
So
bit.
there was no such thing as an Indian agent that was working on their behalf?
Not really.
Yeah.
Not really. So anyway, Chief Joseph persuaded the chiefs to avoid bloodshed as long as possible. Though the 30-day deadline was short, they rode south to comply with it as best they could.
Now, where was his band, by the way?
His was the non-treaty a little further south.
Okay.
I believe. Now,
Okay.
I hope I'm not confusing this. But anyway, Joseph's band consisted of a few hundred people, rounded up their nearest horse and cattle herds. The rest they would have to leave behind. Then they dismantled their village and said farewell to the Wallowa Valley. On their way north, they had to ford the Snake and Salmon rivers. And now, at this time, those rivers were heavy with snowfall.
Yeah, I was going to say, what time of the year was this?
Let's see. Early in 1877, so I'm assuming like maybe May, somewhere like in there.
Yeah.
So, but they arrived just outside the Lapway Reservation with more than a week to spare, and there they camped with 4 other non-treaty bands. So you got 5 non-treaty bands that have complied, basically.
Yeah.
Now, all the chiefs and leading warriors met to discuss their predicament, and members of the rebellious cult of the Indians, they kind of made fun of Joseph with charges calling him a coward, that he was foolhardy. Anyway, after the council, Joseph and his brother Ollicut led a small party south to butcher some cattle that they had abandoned in their move to make the deadline. So they left some cattle behind.
Basically, the Indians at that time, the Nez Perce tribe, were living quite similar to what farmers and ranchers were.
They did.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, like I said, the other group, the treaty group, they didn't mind because the reservation was in their native land, where they were living.
Right,
So anyway, so like I say, Joseph and his son, brother Ollicut went down to get some of the cattle to bring them that they had left. Well, while Joseph was gone, the people started talking of war, and that triggered violence on the band of the 70-year-old chief Whitebird. On June 13th, a young hothead named Wallatuts set out with 2 companions to avenge the death of his father, who had been killed in a brawl with a white man 3 years back.
Now, what year was this, by the way?
1877.
So it was a year after the Custer's Last Stand.
So anyway, so these guys, the bloodthirsty trio failed to find the culprit, but they killed 4 white people, all of whom had committed something against the Indians in the past. So they were just getting revenge, basically. But their triumph, such as it was, encouraged 21 young warriors to stage another mission, and they killed at least 14 whites, and some of them farmers and ranchers. So things are escalating. It's just not good. Well, the Nez Perce were frightened, too, when Joseph returned to camp from his meatpacking trip. He discovered that many families, fearful of punishment, if they now set foot on the reservation, they were taking down their teepees and preparing to leave. They were afraid to go onto the reservation. Okay? Now, although no member of Joseph's own band had been involved in the killing, but he guessed correctly that individual guilt or innocence doesn't matter to the whites, and that General Howard would want to thrash all 5 of even the non-treaty bands, and the peace-loving chief resigned himself to fighting if the Nez Perce were attacked. So this is what it comes down to. He was a peace-loving chief. He didn't want to fight.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, during the next few days, Joseph urged all of the chiefs to adopt rules for humane conduct in case of war. Stop the young men from killing women or children. Let there be no scalping of the dead or slaying of wounded soldiers. If there was to be savagery in the conflict, let it be done by the whites, not the Nez Perce. The chiefs agreed to do their best to keep these headstrong young warriors under control. Now, amidst all this talk of death, one of Joseph's wives brought forth new life. A daughter was born, his second. Just at this time, and it slowed Joseph down as far as being able to join the rest of the bands, because he kind of waited with his wife till she got a little better and stronger. But one of the bands, led by the noted chief Red Echo, decided to risk the wrath of the whites and go onto the reservation. So one of the bands did go onto the reservation.
Right.
Now, some of Joseph's people left with Chief Looking Glass and camped with his band on Clear Creek. There was Chief Whitebird, and there was a chief named Tuhul Zot with their small band.
You want to shoot that one again?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Anyway, with their small bands, they went to camp on Whitebird Creek. And you've heard of Whitebird.
Yeah, been there many times.
Joseph joined them with the rest of his band and with his wife and his infant daughter. Now, meanwhile, the white authorities began marshaling forces to crush the rebels.
Okay, now I have a question here.
Okay.
What was the main purpose for the government to do this consolidation and cut back on the land? It sounds to me like it was just to provide the land for the settlers. Greed.
Yes, exactly. So meanwhile, the white authorities, they began getting forces together. General Howard ordered all available soldiers to Lapway. So eventually, about 2,000 U.S. soldiers would be brought in from everywhere. And obviously, it sounds like the Nez Perce really don't have any chance.
Yeah.
Here you've got a huge, but keep in mind, the nickname of Chief Joseph, Napoleon.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
That's
so
right.
keep that in mind as we go along.
How well organized back in 1877 were communications between the United States Army and the Indians? I mean, today with the cell phones and the drones and everything, we know everybody and everywhere they are. I mean, how did they really keep in touch as to where people were or weren't?
You know, that's a good question, because some of these soldiers, there was actually an artillery unit from Alaska. There was a regiment all the way from Atlanta, Georgia, that came out to join this army.
Really?
So I don't know how they got the word out, but they did anyway. So the opinion of General Howard, he wired his superiors, quote, "Think we shall make short work of it," and he quickly assigned missions to the troops already on hand at Lapway. And as a cavalry column departed on June 15th, so middle of the summer, under the command of a guy named Captain David Perry. Now, Howard saluted and called to Perry and said, "You must not get whipped." That's what he told the guy. Well,
you must not get whipped.
Well, Perry replied, he said, "No, there's no danger of that, sir." And kind of a little bit of a brash kind of guy.
Kind of a General Custer attitude.
Kind of. So here we have Captain Perry's orders were simply to protect the refugee settlers who had flocked into Grangeville, that small town up there in Idaho.
Yeah.
Okay, because they were kind of afraid. And this is 50 miles southeast of the Lapway headquarters. But Perry learned that Joseph was encamped at White Bird Creek, and he could not resist a golden opportunity. So Perry got his 103 cavalrymen with 11 civilian volunteers and galloped off to punish the disobedient bands.
Mm-hmm.
Well, midnight on June 16th, his men settled down behind a long ridge that overlooked the Indian camp.
Yeah.
Now, Perry was...
this is on Whitebird, right?
Yeah, by Whitebird.
Okay.
So Perry was planning to take the Nez Perce by surprise at dawn, but the troops soon learned that their presence had been discovered by some young boys that were herding horses.
I see.
So, at first light on June 17th, Perry deployed his men and sent them to battle.
Oh, my.
Now, the chiefs that were camped had only 60 or 70 warriors. Now, we're talking, about 150 cavalrymen.
Yeah, roughly, yeah.
So,
give me a little logistics. Now, the cavalry was up on the hill,
yeah,
right?
kind of on a ridge.
On the top, looking down into the valley.
Right.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. All right.
So there was a Lieutenant Thaler, and he was in command, and he was taking his men, and they fired into the... what happened was actually... The Indians came out with a white flag of truce.
Oh, they did?
They did. They were carrying this white flag, and they rode up towards the cavalry. Well, they shot them.
The cavalry shot the Indians
them.
with the white flag?
Yeah. So here's a chance at peace gone.
Yeah.
So anyway, so the Nez Perce rifle started firing, and actually Perry's bugler fell dead. Gunfire then became general, and soon the cavalry's second bugler was killed. Now keep in mind, bugling was how they communicated to what to do. So it left Perry unable to send commands to his men along the strung-out battle line. Well, they knocked troopers out of the saddle with arrows, shotguns, and old rifles, while the soldiers, actually equipped with the latest arms, sprayed bullets down harmlessly and didn't do hardly any damage. Now, Joseph seems to have been divided his time between fighting on the slope and directing operations in the camp below, where they were packing up and getting ready to leave, obviously, because they were
during this battle.
They were the women and children and they were trying to pack up to flee. So the camp really was in no danger because the warriors were going towards the cavalry. So putting more ground between the cavalry and the actual camp.
Give me some perspective as to, you've been up Whitebird Hill, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Where did all this take place? Down in that deep ravine valley, or was it up from the valley on the side of the hillside?
I really can't tell you.
I don't know either.
I've only been there once or twice, and I really can't tell you exactly.
Okay.
So, anyway, things were going badly for the cavalry, actually. But this Perry, his flanks were collapsing. He ordered his center to retreat. His men's horses were plunging and rearing and bucking. And at the height of all this confusion, the warriors actually stampeded a herd of their horses through Perry's center. They had all these horses. They stampeded them through the cavalry. So, and the Indians they could ride unseen to the sides of the horses. You know how you've seen pictures of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Firing at the cavalry.
Yeah.
Well, at this point, Captain Perry no longer aspired to win the battle.
Yeah, good thinking.
He was now trying to just save part of his men.
It was time to get out of Dodge City.
So he managed to retreat. The Nez Perce formed a large pursuit force, and they followed him for a ways, and then left.
Which way did the cavalry go? Back north, or did they go down south?
I believe they headed south and maybe east.
By the river?
I believe so.
Okay.
Anyway, Captain Perry lost. And not a single Nez Perce had been killed. Not one.
Kidding me? Wow. Well, wait a minute. You said that the cavalry shot the.
I'm sorry. They did. They shot but didn't hit him. I'm sorry.
Oh, they didn't kill the white flag?
No, the guys with the white flag were able to get away. But Perry lost 34 men, which was about a third of his command.
Yeah.
Well, for almost a week, the shock of the battle paralyzed the area. The settlers, they were expecting widespread hostilities. They huddled together in the towns. The Nez Perce, they were happy with their victory, but were uncertain what to do next. And they were hungry. They did some pillaging and waited for the Army's reaction. Now, General Howard taught him never again to underestimate the Nez Perce.
So the Indians stayed there.
But, yeah, they were trying to figure out where to go, which direction. So, anyway, on June 22nd, General Howard mustered a force of nearly 400 soldiers, plus 100 supply workers and Indian scouts, and led them southward to seek out and crush the breakaway bands. Well, Howard moved slowly to the deserted battlefield at Whitebird, and there he saw the remains of the battle where his soldiers had been killed and left. But anyway... So they started chasing Joseph along the Salmon River. And the Indians had crossed the Salmon River, and when General Howard got there, he saw the Indians on the other side just kind of sitting on the horses, just waiting. Now, these were the warriors. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you saying it was a trap?
Well, let me keep going. Okay. So here's Howard on one side of the Salmon River, the Indians on the other side, just beyond rifle range. And this display kind of forced Howard to rethink what's going on. Well, on July 1st, Howard's troops finally crossed the Salmon River, unopposed, nobody on the other side, and followed the bands into the dangerous mountains to the south. Now, the Nez Perce, with their families and their herds, they had actually gone about a 25-mile move in just 36 hours. Now, women and children, old people, and that's in rough country, okay?
And a lot of them, I'm assuming, were still afoot.
Yeah.
Wow.
So on July 2nd, they recrossed the Salmon River several miles upstream from their first crossing. Now, Howard was on that side of the river.
Oh, yeah, I got to follow this. Okay.
So now Howard's on the other side of the river again.
And he thought the Indians were on his side of the river.
Exactly.
But when he looked across the river, the Indians had crossed the river, and they were on the side he was originally.
Yes. Now, okay, July 7th, finally Howard recrossed the Salmon River.
There we go again.
At the same spot where he had started his chase 6 days before.
Okay, but where were the Indians?
Okay, meanwhile, the Nez Perce bands, they had headed east and actually they stayed on the same side now.
I
so
see.
they're on the east side of the Salmon River. So July 6th, the Indians pitched camp on the South Fork of the Clearwater River.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so that's near the Selway River
Right.
and the Locksaw River over in that area.
Right.
So there they were joined by Chief Looking Glass's band and also by the band of Red Echo, who had heard of the victory at White Bird. Anyway, so now we have the 5 non-treaty bands all assembled together at peak strength, 150 men of fighting age, plus about 550 older men, women, and children. So you've got a fighting force of 150 men.
Yeah.
Warriors. That's
that
it.
are trying to also take care of 500 people that couldn't fight.
Right,
Yeah.
and protect them.
Yeah.
So, and as they went along here, the Indians kind of relaxed. They kind of enjoyed their success, certain that General Howard's was several days' journey behind them. They kind of repaired their equipment, grazed their 2,000 to 3,000 horses and cattle. They had been herding these horses and cattle
back and forth across the river.
Yeah, all along. So
they were pretty handy.
And they did a few skirmishing to get food and one thing and another. But anyway, the chiefs met and they viewed the situation, but each band had a right to do as it pleased. So the council made no special effort to agree on any course of action.
So the Indians are sitting there on the Clearwater.
Right.
And there are 150 braves, and they're trying to figure out what to do next.
Yes, but they can't agree on what to do. So
sounds like the Democratic Party.
So they're sitting here, okay, not knowing quite what to do. So now it's July 11th, okay, middle of the summer.
We might have to have this serial continue.
I'm planning on finishing.
Okay.
So
no, don't. We'll do it next week. I want to get this whole thing.
Okay, so you tell me when to stop. I'll keep going until you wave your hand.
You got 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Okay. So July 11th, when the Nez Perce encampment was on the valley floor, they were startled by some cannon shot. That shot, Gatling gun that followed, announced the appearance of General Howard, who had finally extricated himself from the mountains.
Now, I got another question for you, and that's where we got to make this next week to finish it. How come the Indians didn't have scouts on the perimeter that could tell where the soldiers were coming in from?
You know, I think they were just elated that they'd won a battle, and they thought they were okay. But you would have thought they would have left somebody behind to watch.
Yeah.
You know? So, anyway, now we've got nearly 600 men, cavalrymen. Howard prepared for a classic battle, kind of like what you'd see at Gettysburg, but the Nez Perce had been caught with their guard down. They quickly recovered. They saw the troops skirting along a ravine into the valley. They instantly raced towards the battle. They took strong positions and stopped the soldiers.
Now, I think that's a good place to draw a period right there.
Okay.
And I've got so many questions as to why they didn't have basically outriders that would watch and come screaming in the camp and say, the Bluecoats are coming.
Yeah. So here we are. We're at the Battle of the Clearwater.
Well, I'm going to get to that next week.
And we'll start there next week.
That is interesting. But there's a lot of questions that a person would have as to why they let certain things happen.
Yeah, and keep in mind, we're reading a history that's written by historians, trying to gather information.
Could be a lot of mistakes.
So there's some things here we don't know.
Dr. History, you outdo yourself. I just absolutely, this infatuates me because then next week you can take it to where they really took off and tried to outrun the cavalry.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it. Dr. History for this week. And I thank Dr. Ken Turner, as I always do, for coming on the program. And we're going to kick it back over to our main studios for about 3 minutes. And we'll come back with more on Zeb at the Ranch. Thanks, Doc. Take care.
Yeah.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
And a quick reminder that on Thursdays on Zeb at the Ranch at 10:10, we have a segment called Cassia County School Days, brought to you by A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. Great place for your children's clothing and your furniture furniture and games, puzzles and toys, all of this and more at a family store. And that's, of course, A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. And the other sponsor of Cassia County School Days, Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. The number to call, 677-8888. Life-saving colonoscopies, cataract surgeries, carpal tunnel surgeries, so much more. Ambulatory Surgery Center in Burley, 677-8888. Teamed up with, of course, A Child's World to bring you Cassia County School Days on Thursdays. Right now, let's go to the telephone line. A lady that's been on my program many, many times in the past, Liberty McCarter with The Stream. Good morning. How are you?
I'm great, Zeb. Thanks so much for having me on today.
Oh, thank you for helping us out and coming on the program. I understand that I don't have the entire piece right here, but prayers for abortion. What does that mean? Give us a little explanation of what we're going to talk about this morning.
Well, last week it was reported that a group of clergy in Texas, down here in my neck of the woods in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, went to an abortion clinic to pray. You know, as your listeners probably know, Christians will often go to abortion clinics and pray to end abortion, for, you know, mothers to change their minds, etc. But this group of ministers actually went inside the clinic and prayed a blessing over the abortionists and their staff and the abortions themselves. And so this is obviously a problem for anybody who is pro-life and a believer. And I think it just exemplifies the deception that we're dealing with in our culture, that people who claim to serve God can think it's okay to bless this act of killing unborn children.
I'm just taken aback. I got to tell you something, Liberty. This is an angle that I had not heard of, but I'm sitting here and I'm outraged and I'm fearful at the same time that people that would call themselves member of the clergy would go into an abortion clinic and basically give thanks and pray for those people that are killing babies?
Yeah, I mean, it is shocking, but this has happened, you know, after I began looking into it, and my editors were looking into this as well. We were just kind of like, wow, it came out that this has actually happened before. Back in January, supposed faith leaders went and blessed a Planned Parenthood facility that was opening up. And I think what it is, you know, the Bible talks about there's going to be deception in the last days, and it's not always going to be obvious. It might come in the form of people who say that they're ministers and they're leading churches, but they're not doing what the Bible says is right. They're doing what is popular in the eyes of culture, and Christian morality is not so popular right now among a lot of people in our culture. And so if you want to be in or you want to be cool, then you've got to go along with these new liberal causes, these new social agendas, including abortion. And, you know, one of the quotes from one of the women that was there praying actually said it's a woman's God-given right to choose something like abortion, which is just completely false. But these are the kind of lies that we're dealing with and the kind of pressure that we're facing to give in to what the culture wants.
You know, Liberty, have we got so far down the pole into the cesspool? I just am appalled as how low humanity can be, and to think that members of the clergy would go in and pray for these people that are taking human life. I thought I'd heard it all, but now this just blows my mind.
It is, it's very devastating, but I would say, just as a word of encouragement, you know, these are obviously trying times. Nobody is, you know, unaware of that fact. All you have to do is turn on the TV or, you know, look at Twitter and you'll see kind of like, oh, our nation seems to be exploding in controversy after controversy. And this is very evil to people who are in the Bible and know and are believers that, okay, this is clearly wrong. But I would just say, you know, in the past, were there ministers that were endorsing slavery and saying it was part of God's plan? Yes, there were, unfortunately. And so I think, you know, while we have seen bad things like that in our past, we can also hold on to that as hope and say, okay, let's counter. They're trying to bless abortionists with prayer. Let's take some real prayer. Let's go utilize our most powerful weapon, which is prayer, and pray for God to awaken the hearts of Americans and open people's eyes. And one of these days, maybe America will look back, just like we look back at slavery and how awful that was, and say, wow, I can't believe for so long we allowed abortion to take place, but that's behind us now, and I think that's what we have to continue to say.
I have a little trouble with that, though, Liberty, because slavery was an accepted practice up until about 200 years ago, and then, of course, in the 1860s, we fought the Civil War over one of the principal reasons, and that was slavery. However, an accepted practice of 200 years ago was not killing babies en masse, which it is today. Abortion, to me, I think is evil, and are the people that support it and the clinics, they are evil. Who are these people that they are trying to do this?
Well, I think, there are a lot of reasons for it. And another thing I would say, I've talked to a lot of people that were involved in the pro-life movement very early on, and even, not that long ago, just 30, 40 years ago was when the pro-life movement really started getting momentum, is abortion was not talked about that often, and that was when you had Roe v. Wade, and there were actually a lot of people in the church that were kind of like shrugging their shoulders like, okay, there wasn't a lot of education about it. And so if you look at kind of the arc of the pro-life movement, you'll see actually there is a lot of progress, and now I think most Christians you run into today are, of course, definitely pro-life, but, even 30, 40 years ago, that wasn't necessarily the case. So I would say, it was not an accepted practice in the same way slavery was, which was still evil, but I would say that it was not as controversial in the church even as it is today, so we've seen progress. And I would just say, there are lots of reasons why people would support it today. I think one reason is just how we idolize self above everything else. We don't look at a higher power in our culture anymore. It's all about what I want. And so you can rationalize anything if you basically view the individual, the self, as God. And that's why I think you see a lot of this talk about, a woman's body, my choice, my body, when really that's not what it's about. So, it is discouraging, but then on the other hand, there is encouragement when you look at how far the pro-life movement has come and where it has the potential to go, but it's going to take action, obviously, but it's also going to take a lot of prayer.
Liberty, when you study for writing of various pieces that you do for the stream, what was your research showing you? I mean, are we as a society in this great United States of America, are we just absolutely closing the door and locking it against God and a supreme being and our beliefs and religion? Have we turned that far against it?
Well, it's hard to say because, again, you look at, it seems like that way now for sure, but again, you look at, the past, in America and also world history, and how it's always a wave, an ebb and flow of good times and bad times, especially for believers. And I would say, one thing that I've noticed among millennials is that millennials are leaving Christianity and they are leaving the church in unprecedented numbers, but they are very open to spirituality, which obviously sounds bad because it's not the truth, but they are very open to kind of, I'm spiritual but not religious. And from a lot of evangelists that I have talked to, and apologists and people who go out and actually witness to people on the street, that can actually be a huge door for witnessing to someone about Jesus Christ, because they're already open to that, idea of spirituality. So I think right now we're seeing people just flood out of the church, but then in a few years, if we really capitalize on that, we might come full circle and see a lot of millennials realizing, this isn't working, and maybe open the door for more witnessing, more conversions back to Christ, and maybe kind of turn the culture. So I think, there is always potential, and it's never too far gone, and God can do amazing things in societies, and that's kind of a point I make here in the article, from the individual abortionist who's performing abortions to societies as a whole. God can transform lives. And so I think that can definitely happen, and there are opportunities for that.
Liberty, I've made this statement on my program many, many times, and I will not back up and weaken from saying this, that I think the problem with religion today is that many, not all, but many of the churches, many of the pastors, and many church leaders have become cowards to really stand up in the pulpit and say it like it is. And I believe that cowardice has taken over the pulpit. Am I wrong?
No, I think that's right. And one thing you look at is these kind of liberal churches that aren't really, they're speaking the social gospel but not the biblical gospel. Mainline Protestant churches and denominations, their numbers are declining, and those are the people who are going and blessing abortion clinics. If you look at churches that are actually speaking the biblical truth, their numbers are skyrocketing. so I would say, why are so many millennials leaving the church right now? Well, there are a lot of reasons, but one could be, maybe for too long churches didn't speak the truth because they were trying to be cool or they were trying not to ruffle feathers. Well, the truth is what attracts people. If you try to make Christianity palatable or water it down to make it cool or acceptable for the younger generation, they're going to turn away because that's not real. So I think you're definitely right, and we need to speak truth and trust God that, yeah, it might be hard in the cultural moment right now because the truth is unpopular, but ultimately God says people respond to truth. So if we want to get people to turn back the way they need to, the only way you're going to do that is if you speak the truth.
Do you think, Liberty, with all the study that you've done on this subject, that we as a country are at our lowest point of believers? Has religion been denigrated so much and cast off by the younger generation that it's in pretty bad shape right now, more so than ever before?
I mean, again, it's hard to say. I think as far as the numbers of people who are identifying as believers, then yes. And I think that, it's all coming to a head right now in our, short human perspective. But, you can go back all the way to the Enlightenment era, I think, and see how the effects of that back in Europe are like playing out today in the philosophies that have influenced this current generation. So, America has never been perfect. Obviously, we've always had our problems. I think we have a big problem today because the church is not regarded. But that can be a bad thing, as we can see how, it plays out in our culture with abortion, and you see, same-sex marriage and this, transgenderism, all these things that are very harmful but that are rising because people don't respect the church teaching anymore. But it's also an opportunity because you don't have this kind of buffer of social religion where people just think, oh, I was born in America, I'm a Christian. You actually are going to see a distinction between people who are just nominally religious and people who are actually living their life for the Lord and speaking that truth. And I think over time that will really attract more people because they will see that as a difference, not just, oh, yeah, I go to church because I'm a good American and I'm a believer and that's what I do, but actually see people living out their faith. And I think that we will see a turn back to God because of that. You have to be different today. You can't just blend in anymore. If you're a Christian, you have to be different.
One of the things that I've said on this show, and I think you and I had talked about this on a previous program, is that the lack of respect for life, whether it is through the killing of babies through abortions or going to the other spectrum of looking at our senior citizens, our elderly, and saying, oh, we can't afford you, just go off in the corner and die someplace, like in a hemlock society. We are developing a disrespect for both ends of the spectrum, and it's almost like a Germanistic, Hitleristic attitude of only the supreme will live. Boy, that is spooky. Am I wrong in thinking that?
No, that is very spooky. It's very frightening, and I think we are seeing that because, again, it goes back to people. They're not looking to a higher power or higher standard of morality. It's all about the self, what I want, what makes me happy. And so if that's all you're living for and if that's all you have, then why not kill the baby in the womb if that's going to make you unhappy? Or why not kill yourself whenever you get older and you can say, okay, life isn't worth living anymore? Or why not go ahead and euthanize your grandfather because, well, his life isn't worth living anymore? There's no perspective. There's no eternal picture to look to realize this is just part of the story. If this is all there is and you want to have the most fun possible, then you're going to get anything out of your way that inhibits you from having the best time of your life because you think that's all there is. And people are sad and hurting, and it's not making people happy, but that's all they have. And I think that's kind of where we are in this moment in culture right now, and it is a very high disregard for life.
And here's a very simplistic question, but honestly, I don't know the answer to it, and I hope you do. How? How do we turn this bus around and start having a morality, start having a respect for what we've been given by the good Lord above?
Well, I mean, it's almost it's a simple question, and I think the answer is also simple. It's just, Christians, we need to live out our faith, and that means praying. A lot of times we talk about praying, but how many of us are actually going to spiritual battle and actually offering up prayers for our nation and for our neighbors. And I think it means living out our convictions, and that's going to be more difficult today, and it's going to be more radical because Christianity and Christian morals are not popular in culture like they used to be. But we have to continue to stick to the truth, but also do it lovingly. I think we can make a huge difference neighbor to neighbor, community by community. Obviously, politics are very important, but how we live in our neighborhoods and the lives that we actually impact, I think that will make the biggest difference over time. So it's all about continuing to follow Christ and trust Him. Nothing takes Him by surprise. So as long as we are following Him and doing everything we can to live for His glory, then I think that's the only answer we have.
I really enjoy having you on the program. Thank you, Liberty McCarter, with the stream, for coming on here. And please don't make yourself a stranger and come back soon. Thank you so much. I
will. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care. Thank you. Very, very nice lady right there, Liberty McCarter with the stream. I mean this when I say this. Just about the time that you think humanity can't go much lower in the scum in the pond, humanity surprises us, and they do go lower. It's just amazing to me. The respect for life has been so diminished in this country and around the world. It just absolutely blows my mind. We better get a weather forecast on here right now, and the weather brought to you by Scarro's Meats. Don Scarrow and the rest of the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. Oh, my goodness sakes, yes, they are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. I don't care if it's the breakfast meats like the bacon or the bratwurst or the salamis, everything all the way up to prime rib. I mean, man, everything they've got in their retail meat department is absolutely delicious. Be sure and stop over or give them a call, 324-7657, Scarro's Meats in Jerome. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast for this Tuesday, November 14th, and it's going to be mostly sunny skies for today. We do have a few rain showers to work through during the morning hours, but other than that, mostly sunny by this afternoon. A little bit on the breezy side as well, high of 48. Tonight, clear skies with a low of 30. Tomorrow, more clouds are going to be rolling in, partly sunny skies with a high of 55. Tomorrow night, more rain showers are going to be in the forecast, about a 50% chance, looking at a low of 38. That's going to carry over for Thursday. 40% chance of showers, going to be breezy, high of 51. 50% chance of rain showers for Thursday night as well with a low of 29. And that could convert over into snow showers for Friday with a high of 41. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina, and I appreciate all your effort on the weather forecast. And we also appreciate all the effort from Scarro's Meats. Don Scarrow and his crew over at 331 North Road in Jerome with the most delicious of meats. Go to their website. Check it out, scarrowsmeats.com. It's true, Scarro's Meats, changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. I want to remind you that Lunch Bunch is going to be this week Thursday at 11:30 at Denny's Restaurant in Burley, 611 North Overland in Burley. And our thanks again go to all the gift certificate sponsors, and they are Walmart, Smith's Food, Hanson Mortuary, Stokes, and Doug Martin. Thank you very much for all that you do in your support of Lunch Bunch. I've got time for a couple of extra calls right now. Give me a jingle on the landline at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, my goodness, a busy time of the year. Next week will be Thanksgiving already. My, we're making plans. We're going to try to get up to my son Jake's. We can't go up on Thanksgiving Day because his wife Shanna's a nurse and she has duty that day. But we're planning on going up on the Saturday, and just everybody's going to get together, the whole family, up at Jake's. My son just had surgery on a rotator cuff, and so he's going to be off duty as a fireman for a couple of months trying to get that arm all healed up. So we're going to have a great big Thanksgiving feast. Looking forward to it. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call on the landline. Sure like to hear from you. Let's see what else we got. This was really something this morning. I did a little bit of research And I was curious about the state of California becoming a sanctuary state. Not only just cities like San Francisco and Sacramento and everything, but they want to make the whole state a sanctuary state. And I was wondering about law enforcement and whether or not they were going to go along with the concepts, the detestable concepts of sanctuary cities. And I found out that at least 70% of the sheriffs in the 58 counties in California have loudly said no to sanctuary cities and California becoming a sanctuary state. It is against the law, against our Constitution, and like I said, at least 70% of the sheriffs have said, this is garbage. This is not the way this country should be. This is not the way our state should be, and 70% of the sheriffs have said, no. Not going to happen. Well, we'll see. They're on the verge of having a great big problem down there in California, and unfortunately, it's going to probably supersede the bounds of that state. By the way, quick note, Burgess Owens, former NFL player and Super Bowl player, really blasted Colin Kaepernick this morning, and he said that his race, the Negroid race, needs to step up and step out for their success in education, family, and in the workplace. Amen. But I also found out that one of the big supporters of Colin Kaepernick, and this really didn't set well with me either, one of the big supporters of Colin Kaepernick, guess who it is? Linda Sarsour. You remember that name. She was the Muslim woman who supports terrorism. She has written an advocacy for Colin Kaepernick. What does that tell you? By the way, our thanks go to our big sponsor, our major sponsor, and that's, of course, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best of tires for the muck, the ice, and the snow, and oh my goodness, it's going to get nasty. Well, get ready for wintertime driving with the best of tires, with all the different tread designs to do what they need to do, get you through all the bad driving conditions. They've got them all for your cars, your pickups, your SUVs, and don't forget all the tire chains, and don't forget and neglect the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, and batteries. I urge you to get your battery tested, and boy, if it's a little bit low and not going to cut the cake this winter, you better get a new one, a good one, from your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. We're doing the right thing matters all the time. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Absolutely the best serving you, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. I thank you for all your calls and everything else today. Thank you very much. Tomorrow, Dave Bigo, and then we're going to have a representative from the Malson Cattle Sale, and we're also going to talk to Alex Judd with the urgent cares, and then, of course, at 10:06 tomorrow morning, the big one, the Incredible Bulk, will be here with the Idaho Fishing Game. Kelton Hatch is going to give us our fishing game update. All of that and more tomorrow right here on Zeb at the Ranch at 12:30 K-Bar, and then streaming live all over the internet on zebbell.com, where we say every day at the end of the program, the way things were are the way things ought to be. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:06.